My name is Elena Torres, 51 years old, and the moment my sister Veronica burst into my hospital room, demanding my kidney, while threatening to expose my adoption, was the same moment Dr. Harrison walked in holding my genetic test results and said the words that would shatter both our lives. Ms. Torres, you're not just a compatible match. According to these DNA markers, you're her biological mother. Veronica stood there in her designer hospital gown, mid-threat, her mouth forming words that wouldn't come, while I sat frozen in the bed trying to understand how the sister I'd grown up fighting with over bathroom time and borrowed clothes could possibly be the daughter I'd given up for adoption 34 years ago. When the secret you've kept for 3 decades collides with a family crisis in a hospital room, do you finally tell the truth, or do you let the DNA speak for itself? Let me take you back to 1990, when I was 17 years old and stupid with love. His name was Marcus Webb. Senior at Lincoln High in San Diego, quarterback, full scholarship to USC waiting for him. I was a junior honor roll, planning to go to UCLA for pre-law. We were careful, or we thought we were, until the pregnancy test came back positive in March. I told Marcus first. He went pale, said he'd support whatever I decided, then transferred to a private school 3 weeks later. His parents moved the whole family to Arizona that summer. I never heard from him again. I told my parents next. My mother, Carmen Torres, cried for 3 days. My father, Miguel, didn't speak to me for a week. They were devout Catholics, first-generation immigrants who'd built a life through hard work and respectability. An unwed pregnant teenager didn't fit their script. You can't keep it, my mother finally said. You're 17. You have your whole life ahead of you. I could raise. No. My father's voice was final. You're giving it up for adoption. We'll arrange everything. No one needs to know. They sent me to my aunt's house in Phoenix for the last trimester. Homeschooled through a Catholic program. Isolated from friends, from my life, from everything familiar. I gave birth on November 12, 1990, at 4:37 a.m. A girl. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect. I held her for 17 minutes while the adoption counselor waited. She had dark hair like mine, a tiny nose, fingers that gripped my thumb with surprising strength. The nurse asked if I wanted to name her for the birth certificate before the adoptive parents chose their own name. Veronica, I whispered. After my grandmother. They took her after 17 minutes. I signed the papers 3 days later. Closed adoption, no contact, no information, no way to find her or for her to find me. The adoptive parents were described as financially stable, college-educated, devout Catholic family in Southern California eager to provide a loving home. I went back to San Diego 2 weeks later. Finished high school. Went to UCLA. Got my law degree. Built a career as a family attorney, ironically enough. Married at 32, divorced at 38, no other children. Spent 34 years trying not to think about the daughter I gave away, the 17 minutes I held her. The name I'd whispered that probably got erased the moment the adoption was finalized. My parents never spoke of it again. Not once. When people asked why I didn't have kids, I'd say I focused on my career. When clients came to me for adoption cases, I'd handle the paperwork with professional detachment and cry in my car afterward. What I didn't know, what no one told me, was that my parents had decided they wanted another child. Wanted to fill the house that felt too empty after my medical absence in Phoenix. And instead of having another baby naturally, they went through a Catholic adoption agency. In March 1991, 4 months after I gave birth, my parents brought home a baby girl. They named her Isabella. She was 4 months old, with dark hair and a tiny nose and fingers that gripped things with surprising strength. Your new sister, my mother said, handing her to me. Isn't she beautiful? I was 17, numb, traumatized. I held Isabella and felt nothing except the desperate need to not be in that room, in that house, in that life. I went back to school the next day and tried to disappear into college applications and AP exams. Isabella grew up spoiled, loved, the baby of the family who got everything. I left for UCLA when she was 7, came home for holidays, watched her grow up from a distance. We were never close. She was the good daughter, the one who made our parents proud. I was the one who escaped to Los Angeles and built a life away from their expectations. When she was 22, Isabella legally changed her name to Veronica. Said she'd always felt like a Veronica, never an Isabella. Our mother was hurt but didn't fight it. I remember thinking it was weird that she chose that specific name, but I never said anything. Flash forward to 3 weeks ago. My father called on a Tuesday evening. Elena, it's Veronica. She's in kidney failure. Genetic disorder, progressive, diagnosed 6 months ago. She needs a transplant, and none of us are compatible. We need you to get tested. I drove down to San Diego that weekend. Went to Sharp Memorial Hospital, gave blood samples, did the compatibility screening. The whole time, Veronica barely acknowledged me. She was 33, worked in marketing, married to a guy named Derek who seemed nice but overwhelmed. It's not fair, Veronica said when we were alone in her hospital room. You got to leave, build your perfect life in LA. I stayed here, took care of mom and dad, did everything right. And now I'm dying while you're healthy and successful, and you'll probably say no just to spite me. I'm not going to say no, I told her. If I'm a match, I'll donate. Really? Because you've never cared about me. Never called, never visited, treated me like an inconvenience your whole life. That stung because it was partially true. I'm getting tested. That's all I can promise right now. The results came back positive. Perfect match. The transplant coordinator scheduled pre-op appointments, counseling sessions, surgery for 3 weeks out. I checked into Sharp Memorial yesterday for final pre-surgical testing. Routine procedure, more blood work, imaging, meetings with the surgical team. I was alone in my room reviewing consent forms when Veronica stormed in. She looked terrible, swollen from dialysis, pale, angry. I heard you're having second thoughts. I'm not. Don't lie. Derek said you asked the coordinator about postponing. I asked about logistics. I have a trial next month, and I wanted to make sure my recovery wouldn't. Your career. Of course. Because that's all you care about. Your career, your life, your convenience. Never about family. Veronica, that's not fair. Fair? Fair. I'm dying, Elena. Dying. And you're worried about some trial. She moved closer, her voice dropping to a vicious whisper. You know what? Give me your kidney, or I'll tell mom and dad the truth. That you're not really their daughter. That you're adopted. They never told you, did they? I found the papers when I was 16, hidden in dad's office. You're not blood. You're nothing to this family. Just some charity case they took in. So donate your kidney, or I'll make sure everyone knows what you really are. I stared at her. The rage, the desperation, the cruel threat. And something about her face, the set of her jaw, the shape of her eyes, suddenly looked familiar in a way that made my chest tight. You're lying, I said quietly. I'm not. The adoption papers are in Dad's safe. Elena Maria Torres, adopted at birth in 1973 from Catholic Charities. You want me to show everyone? That's when the door opened. Dr. Harrison, the transplant coordinator, walked in holding a tablet and looking concerned. Ms. Torres, I need to discuss some irregularities in your genetic screening results. What irregularities? I asked. He looked between me and Veronica. Perhaps we should speak privately. Just say it, Veronica snapped. What's wrong with her blood? Dr. Harrison hesitated. Nothing is wrong. But the DNA markers show something unexpected. Ms. Elena Torres, you're not just a compatible match for Veronica. The genetic relationship indicators suggest that you're not siblings. You're. He checked the tablet again, like he couldn't believe what he was reading. Your parent and child. Specifically, you're her biological mother. The room went silent. Absolutely, completely silent. Veronica looked at me. Looked at the doctor. Looked back at me. That's impossible. The genetic markers don't lie, Dr. Harrison said gently. This level of DNA correspondence only occurs in parent-child relationships. She's my sister, Veronica insisted, her voice rising. We grew up together. Our parents adopted you, I whispered. The pieces were clicking together with horrible clarity. You were adopted in March 1991. 4 months old. Through Catholic Charities. How do you know that? Because I gave birth in November 1990. Gave up a baby girl for adoption through Catholic Charities. Named her Veronica. The color drained from her face. No, they never told me. Never told either of us. They just adopted you. Brought you home. Made you my sister instead of my daughter. Dr. Harrison quietly closed the door, giving us privacy. You're lying, Veronica said, but her voice was shaking. This is some sick game. I was 17. I got pregnant, gave her up for adoption. My parents sent me to Phoenix to hide it. When I came back, they had a new baby. You. I thought they'd just decided to adopt to fill the empty nest. I never imagined. They knew. Her voice cracked. They knew you were my mother and they never told us? They must have. The agency would have told them. Veronica sat down hard on the edge of my hospital bed. I spent my whole life competing with you, trying to be the better daughter, the one they actually wanted. And the whole time you were mine. She started crying. Not angry crying. Devastated crying. You gave me away. I was 17 and terrified. And then you left. Went to LA. Never looked back. Because staying here hurt too much. Watching you grow up, not being able to say anything, having to pretend you were just my annoying little sister when every time I looked at you I saw. My voice broke. I saw the daughter I wasn't allowed to keep. Did you ever want to tell me? Every day. But I signed papers. Made promises. And our parents made it clear that we were never to speak of what happened in 1990. Veronica wiped her face. The adoption papers I found. The ones I threatened you with. Those were mine, weren't they? Not yours. Probably. I'm such an idiot. You're sick and scared and you didn't know. She looked up at me. Are you still going to donate? Of course. Why? After what I just said. Because you're my daughter. And I've spent 34 years wishing I could give you something, anything, to make up for giving you away. Now I can give you life. Actually save you. How could I say no? She broke down completely then. I moved to sit beside her, and for the first time since she was 17 minutes old, I held my daughter while she cried. Dr. Harrison came back an hour later. We need to inform your parents about the DNA results. It's medically relevant, and they're listed as her emergency contacts. They already know, I said. They've always known. We called them together. My mother answered. I put her on speaker. Mom, the DNA tests came back. They show that I'm not Veronica's sister. I'm her mother. Silence. Then, Elena. You knew. You adopted my daughter and never told either of us. We thought it was better, my mother whispered. Better for everyone. You could move on. She could have a family. We could have another child. Everyone won. Everyone except us, Veronica said. Everyone except the two people who had a right to know. We did what we thought was best. You lied for 34 years, I said. That's not what was best. That's what was easiest. My mother started crying. I hung up. The surgery happened 5 days later. I donated my kidney. Veronica's body accepted it. Recovery was long and painful and complicated by the emotional fallout. Our parents came to visit once. The conversation lasted 10 minutes before I asked them to leave. They haven't been back. Veronica and I are figuring it out. Slowly. We're not mother and daughter in the traditional sense. She's 33, has a whole life, doesn't need parenting. But we're not sisters anymore either. We're something in between. Something new. She's staying with me in LA during recovery. We talk about everything, her childhood, my choices, the family that lied to us both. Sometimes it's angry. Sometimes it's sad. Sometimes we just sit in silence, trying to process what we lost and what we're building. Last week, she asked, "Do you regret it? Giving me up? Every single day of my life. Even though you got your career, your freedom, everything you wanted? I didn't get what I wanted. I got what I settled for, because I couldn't have you." She reached for my hand. "You have me now." "Yeah," I said. "I do. We're not healed. We may never be. But we're honest. Finally, brutally, painfully honest. And that's more than we had before.